Hi, subscribers of the Gold Room. Welcome back. My name's Eric Hill, and today I'm hosting this episode of the Gold Room with none other than Amanda Buckingham. Amanda is from Australian-listed company Warriedar Resources, ticker WA8. So, Amanda, welcome to the show. Let's get straight into it. You've travelled around the world. You've studied rocks and had a good look at the geology around the place. So tell us about your life and times. Where did you come from? How did you get to Warriedar?
Eric, I have had a fantastic career in mineral exploration. I've spent 3 decades basically out looking for mineral deposits, wearing different hats. So I suppose it all started, I went to Sydney Uni back in the dark ages. Studied science law, loved science, didn't even know that geophysics was a thing when I signed up for geology. And then, of course, a bit of peer pressure. Friends were doing geophysics. It was mathematical, which I like. Studied geophysics. At that time, I guess the mining industry, there's always cycles, up and down.
Definitely.
So when I graduated, the companies would actually come to uni and look for graduates to employ. I started working for CRA.
Okay.
And I guess that's now Rio Tinto.
Yep.
So I had a few fantastic years in Mount Isa, sitting on drill rigs, learning about not just geophysics, but all the other important things like geochemistry, geology. And then I went overseas for many years working in airborne data acquisition. My husband is also a geophysicist, and we both we have very similar careers. So he's actually in Kazakhstan at the moment looking for massive deposits for some other company.
Awesome.
And I'm running Warriedar, which is a fantastic role. But we have travelled the world living in various places. It's so much fun.
I bet it is. If you're really interested in it, it must be so exciting to be on the forefront of what comes next, what can we uncover?
Exactly, like what is possible. You're always looking for elephants, like for massive deposits. And I guess I've worked across a range of commodities, hundreds of projects globally. One thing I would say, I know what good looks like. And we all know that, you've got to test a lot of targets for one of them to come in, and the chances of success are low. But when success strikes, it can be remarkable in terms of the value, what that company can achieve, what shareholders can actually get back.
Sure.
So for me, it's the ultimate treasure hunt that we're on. I've lived in parts of Canada looking for diamonds, copper, nickel, Botswana. We lived in Botswana for a while. I've worked all through Southern Africa.
Wow.
I lived in Moscow for a while, Kyrgyzstan, Singapore, places that...
It's probably easiest telling us where you haven't worked.
Oh, yeah, it's been remarkable. Like if I reflect on my career and the opportunities that I've had to... for me, it's the people that you're working with. Like you've got to have fun with the people that you're with.
It has to be enjoyable for sure.
It has to be enjoyable. Yeah. And I also find, like working in mineral exploration, it's not a 9-to-5 job where you clock on and clock off. Like you are often living in extreme circumstances with people, and often the pressures on you are quite off the scale. Like and little things are amazing. Like I remember doing an airborne survey in Mali in about 2001, I think. And there was the best Thai restaurant I've ever eaten at in Bamako.
In Mali?
In Mali.
Oh, wow.
And I was with a Japanese client. Each night we'd go and eat there. And also your role is not just to collect excellent data, but to liaise with the client, to convey what's possible, to get to know them. So you're having vodka shots at a Thai restaurant in Bamako in Mali, and then you're hiring hangar space, speaking French. Luckily, my high school French sort of got... ushered up from the deep.
I bet.
And you're doing that with an incredible group of pilots, engineers, mechanics, just making things work. And the thing with mineral exploration, it never works. Like you've got to accept that things are going to go wrong all the time, but you need the stamina, the grit, I guess the strength of character to say, look, I know things are not going to work as planned, but I've got my eye on the end goal. I believe it's worth it. Like I believe there's a massive copper, gold, nickel, whatever it is, deposit here.
Yep.
And I'm going to work through the problems and I'm going to get to where I need to go. And it can be a lot of fun, on that journey.
I bet it is, especially when you uncover that that element you're looking for, that mineral you're looking for, and there's so many challenges, I guess, along the way to overcome to make it all the more appreciative when you do find it. What kind of skill set do you think you need, or what brought you into to be a geophysicist?
Yeah, so I think there's if I think about who I would employ on a team, and this is also what I've done at Warriedar. Sure, you need to have that background. Like, you need to be a scientist who knows what they're doing and has the requisite skills and experience and training, and you need to be clever. But that sort of goes without saying. On top of that, you need to be a person who, it's almost too cliched, but who does work as a team. Like, you have to be a good team player.
Definitely.
And that's often oversaid but underappreciated. Like, to be a good team player, you are listening, you're compromising, you've got a view, you're looking at the end goal and working out how we sort of move towards it, but on multiple twists and turns with the people around you. And I think often people in mineral exploration, they're not normal. And I say that with the most loving intent. Like, they're often a little bit strange.
A bit different.
Yeah. And they're often quite obsessive about what they think is in a certain area or what we should do.
Well, I guess they have to be like a great detective.
Yeah.
In a way, they have to build up that all the elements, all the things that solve the crime, if you like, or solve the riddle of getting to a discovery. So that must be a geophysicist part of their element.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is like solving a crime. My approach has always been, I guess I come from a more mathematical, data-driven background. Like, I like to, and I don't always achieve this, but we like to try to let the data tell the story, because people end up with their own preconceived ideas and bias. And like, if someone's always worked in the Eastern Goldfields in WA, they'll always be seeing north-northwest structures and cross. Like, they have a mindset based on their experience.
Sure.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you then need to appreciate that, look, you go somewhere else and there are different factors in play, different structural regimes, different elements to that mineral system model that you have to accommodate and think about. So I guess for me, you are solving, if we go back to the solving a crime analogy, you're trying to bring together as many data sets as possible, manipulate that data, push that data as far as you can to see features that you know are critical for the formation of mineral deposits, and then build a targeting model that you understand that has the best possible inputs that shows you where to go out and test. And even though mineral exploration has no recipe, the way we go about it in a way does. You've got to really understand your data, push it, and then test a lot of targets. You need to be comfortable with failure to be good at mineral exploration. And that's a mindset that is very different to mining, because mining is all about being regular and understanding what you have. Whereas exploration, something that looks out of place, different, odd, weird, that's what you want to go for.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great story. That's, well, a great analogy as well. I guess with mining, you've already got all the clues together. You've solved the crime and you're digging it up.
Exactly.
But as an exploration company, and that leads me to my next question. You've built a serious exploration team at Warriedar. How did you piece all that together?
So Warriedar, I believe right now, this year, we're in a fantastic position at Warriedar. We took on our Western Australian project just over 2 years ago.
And we should expand a bit on the projects you have got, Warriedar. So whereabouts are they located, and how's that position with the mining industry as it is today?
So we own a project in Western Australia in the Murchison, which is about a 6-hour drive north of Perth. We are surrounded by some heavy-hitting mining companies. So in that area, there's Westgold, Ramelius, Capricorn Metals, 29 Metals, Vault. But we own this quite large compelling is my favourite word, but it's a land package in the middle of that southern Murchison.
Perfect.
And we have gold and now antimony on that project, but we own a 70-kilometre shear that is known to be mineralised. And so it is known to be favourable to host gold deposits, and it's very underexplored, meaning there's good potential for further discovery of deposits. So we own a fantastic project in WA. I've put together a team that now is, I'd comfortably say, exceptional. Like, we work really well together. We spend as much money as we can in the ground drilling, and we're really enjoying seeing the fruits of our labour. Like, we're now hitting high-grade gold and more recently antimony, and the story is coming together well. There's no time for complacency or comfort. Like, we're always going, all right, let's just keep this on track and move forward.
Sure.
But we're enjoying the stage we're at, and it is important to sometimes stop and reflect and go, hey, we've done a good job. Sure, we've got a long way to go, but let's just pause, enjoy, and appreciate where we've got to.
Soak it up and go find some more. So you've got a couple of deposits there at Warriedar, Golden Ridge?
Golden Range,
Golden
yeah,
Range,
exactly.
sorry.
Yeah.
And to the right or to the east, Fields?
Fields Find.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes, certainly. So most of the gold and antimony is at the Golden Range project.
Okay.
In fact, what have we had? We have 2.3 million ounces of gold equivalent. So all that means is we have gold, about 1.4 million ounces, and then we have antimony, about 60,000 tonnes, and we turn them into a gold equivalent number.
Sure.
So Golden Range is our main focus. But Fields Find is a project to the east, and it's more greenfields. I think it's quite remarkable. It's like a layered intrusion with excellent smoke. And by that I mean, when you're exploring, it's like the crime, the clues.
Yep, sure.
So there's a lot of clues. We just don't quite know where the dead body is yet. But maybe I'll stick to smoke. So where is the fire? Where's the source of the metal?
Sure.
So it's great to have a greenfields project. And then Golden Range, we call it more brownfields, meaning that there's existing resources and you're operating very close to an area that was previously mined, which does give you a better chance of further discovery.
Sure.
Pros and cons for greenfields and brownfields.
Definitely, I guess the greenfields you're still searching for that elusive source.
Yeah.
But with your brownfields over at Golden Range, so why was that gold left? How come you've been able to come across more gold? Is it because of the gold price and technology that you've been able to drill deeper or drill more certain targets?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. So we initially went on a hunt for a fantastic new project in WA, and the criteria was quite clear. Like, we wanted to identify an area where we believed the owners hadn't quite pushed it as far as it could go. So this project was owned by a private company that was actually mining the shallow oxide gold.
Okay.
But they had no interest in drilling deeper for fresh rock, fresh rock gold. And we looked at the neighbourhood and we went, look, this is really interesting. Like, this project has an average drilling depth of about 40 metres.
Wow, that's shallow.
It's
Love for
very
today.
shallow. And then look at Mount Magnet, Ramelius's operation to our northeast. They are now mining at 1,500 metres.
Unbelievable.
And they've produced over 8 million ounces of gold.
Sure.
And they started their life looking like us, like shallow open pits,
Yep.
a few deeper holes to show the fresh rock potential, but no proper investigation. So we went, look, we believe we can take on this project. We can drill below these shallow open pits. And I mean, it's a pretty simple strategy. And I like simple things, because if you can't present an opportunity in simple terms or present a data model in simple terms, I think you don't understand it. So, drilling below historic pits, finding more gold, that was our idea, and that's exactly what we've done. And we think
awesome.
we can keep doing that.
Yeah, great stuff. And I mean, you only have to look to the immediate north of yours to Golden Grove and see how long that's gone as well, and to the northwest with Vault at Deflector. Those, especially Deflector's like an old mineral field that's been resurrected, obviously by Silver Lake, but by Vault as well. So you're definitely on some interesting ground there. I noted in one of your cross sections of the pit that's there, the ore body's quite vertical.
Yeah.
Is that easier for you to mine, or is it? Can you tell me a little bit about like what kind of mining method you would use on something like that, or is that more for the mining engineers?
I won't pretend to know much about mining. In fact, I don't. But we do have some really good consultants working with us and helping us understand how we would actually mine this ore body. So when we put out the gold resource in November last year, we doubled the size of Ricardo.
Wow.
And we had the sort of pit optimised then. We added the antimony 2 weeks ago and had the pit re-optimised. So we know that most of the resource in terms of antimony is in the optimised open pit.
Sure.
What is quite nice is the strip ratio at Ricardo is pretty favourable. I think it looks to be about 7 at the moment, which is good.
Yeah.
We know that the antimony sits in an area in the hanging wall that would have been waste rock. So in a way, it's just improving the project economics.
Economics, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Beyond that, I won't talk about the mining.
No, that's fine. Well, okay, let's go back to geology and that particular ore body. Is antimony a problem when you're mining for gold?
It can be. So it can be. But the way our ore body, as we understand it at the moment, and we've got further work to do, but there are 3 parts to our ore body. There's a part that is gold only.
Okay.
And most of the gold at Ricardo, like 2/3, I think 65%, is actually in that gold only ore body. There's a part that is antimony only, and there's a part that is antimony plus gold.
A bit of a mixture.
Yeah, and so the way we've presented the resource is also the way we envisage it would be mined. So, you'd make a gold concentrate, an antimony concentrate and a combo concentrate. Yes, we need to do further drilling and further met work, but our approach has been, look, push the drilling, understand the deposit, also push the met to make sure we've got a decent deposit with incredible upside and that we know how to process it. And so far we've been, hitting goal. We've been achieving success in both those camps, and we'll continue to both drill for extensions and drill for met work so we can show a favourable pathway.
Yeah, so I guess that's always a question that maybe investors or wannabe investors and shareholders ask. How hard is it to take that ore body once you've defined it and actually, especially with antimony, process it? What's the challenges in that?
Yeah, so at the moment, the preliminary met work we have done has worked really well for us. So what do I mean by that? I mean, we've sent samples to a met lab and we've had them analysed, and we've shown that we can recover more than 90% of the gold via flotation, which is a very standard processing method.
Fantastic.
Likewise, for the antimony, we can recover more than 80% and make a concentrate that has at least, what was our number, 49% antimony.
Sure.
So anything above 30, 35 at the moment is saleable. It depends on what else is in the con. Like, you want arsenic to be low and you don't want any other too many penalty.
Yeah.
And sure, we have more work to do. But to get to the stage where we got those results and we went, okay, this means we have de-risked the spending of further money on this resource. We believe it's got the potential to be, a long life profitable mine based on what we know now.
Sure.
And I think exploration is all about acquiring new data, updating your model and your understanding, looking at the risks and deciding what aspect to tackle and where to go next. But for us, Ricardo is the jewel in our crown. We're delighted with what we're seeing there. We are drilling actually right now on site. We've got a diamond rig on site. We've got another one turning up on Wednesday, and there is nothing better than being in exploration when you've got a rig turning. Like, any moment, the core or the chips could come out and be full of goodies.
Yeah, definitely. Are you going up to site?
Yeah, going up next week.
Awesome, great stuff. You've beat me to the question there about about your met work and that. So let's just talk a little bit about processing. In your list of assets, apart from the mineral deposits, you have an existing processing plant or one that's on care and maintenance?
We do. So we have a processing plant right next to M1, which is one of our deposits. So at Golden Range, most of that gold and antimony is in one key area that we call the Golden Corridor. And it's there are 6 deposits. All deposits are connected by a haul road that goes back to the old processing plant.
Okay, yep.
All on mining leases. It's about a 25-kilometre long stretch. So we think there's a lot of upside just by drilling below and between those deposits. But in terms of future mining, having that processing plant is really, we realise now how valuable that is.
Definitely, with the licensing and everything that comes around it.
Exactly, and it almost doesn't matter what state the existing mill is in. Like, it's a CIL plant, so it's only good for processing oxide gold.
Sure.
But what I like, and now I'm very aware of its value, it's probably going to save us 2 to 3 years of permitting just by having that site. And it's a decent size. We can upgrade it with whatever we need. Once we've done further met and further resource growth, let's say we need some flotation and better grinding, we can put that on at the right time.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
having that infrastructure is superb. But also where we sit in the southern Murchison, there are 2 flotation circuits within trucking distance from us.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
So is there
exactly.
potential maybe for some toll treatment to kick off
There
the
is.
Warriedar story?
There is potential for that. Our approach at the moment, and it's working well, we just make sure we have an open line of communication with all the players in our neighbourhood.
Definitely.
So you can have those conversations, you can know what's potentially coming up and where the opportunities lie.
I think we're seeing a lot more of that in the industry now, where probably 5 or 10 years ago, explorers and producers didn't really talk to each other.
Exactly.
It was a little bit of a guarded secret about what we're doing over here.
Yeah.
But to have that be in the centre of such an active mining area must really compel or give Warriedar and yourself confidence.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm very aware, and I'm always pushing, like, you can't mine it if you haven't found it. Like, what is it? Before you mine it, you've got to find it. Yep. It's all those hungry mills need a source of ore, not just for next year and the year after, but, in their 10-year plan, they need to know where they're getting the
10-year plan. Not very often, or you never used to hear producers talk about 10-year plans, maybe 2 or 3 with the gold price being so fickle.
Yeah.
Now it's on a trajectory that's just gone through the stratosphere.
That's so true. And for us, like, we are setting ourselves up to be standalone. Like, we don't
Awesome.
we don't want to rely on anyone at this stage or into the near future. However, as a small explorer, we can always have the conversation. We can always pivot. If there's an opportunity that returns incredible value to our shareholders, we'll always consider it.
Yeah.
And that's a good position to be in.
Definitely. We'll come back to that little curveball of antimony. So what's the global market like, as of today, if you can allude a bit to that and what its uses are? I've heard a few more explorers out there that have found some decent antimony deposits. How's that look for Warriedar and as I said, the global market?
So antimony is the gold market is well understood. It's transparent. There are even people as retail or institutional investors, they feel they understand the gold market. The antimony market is very different. It's smaller, closed. There's almost 2 separate markets operating. By that I mean, so China dominates the antimony market, both in terms of production, processing, and it's a very closed system. Like, China has restricted exports to both the US and the EU in recent times. So the antimony price within that closed circuit is about $20,000 a tonne.
Okay.
But we can't access that. The rest of the world has to buy antimony, or the spot price for antimony is about just under $60,000 per tonne.
That's incredible.
And that has gone up. It really is. In the last 12 to 15 months, it's gone from about $10,000 to $15,000 a tonne up to almost 60.
Gee.
Now, I don't pretend to be an expert in commodity prices or regimes, but I do know that those in the know with regards to antimony cannot see any solution in terms of the shortage, the demand. There's a critical demand for antimony, both in, the main use is with regards to its fire retardant properties. So
yes,
even
definitely.
like a mattress that you buy at Harvey Norman, say, has been dipped in a fire retardant solution that has a bit of antimony.
Wow.
Antimony and it's critical. Lead acid batteries has antimony.
Sure.
There's a lot of military applications. It's a good alloy with lead. Even solar panels, semiconductors, they all have a component of antimony.
Okay.
So the demand for antimony, I believe, will stay high.
Yep.
there's a serious shortage. Like the US has no domestic supply of antimony.
Okay.
And they've got one mine, one of the Stibnite project by Perpetua that is planned to come into development.
Right, so it's not even in production
not
yet.
even in production
Yeah, okay.
yet. In terms of Warriedar, it is only last August that we put out some high-grade gold, and with that we got high-grade antimony. And honestly, at the time, I didn't even know what high-grade antimony was. Like, we got 13 metres at 7%, and I had to say to my geo, is that good?
Or bad
What
or
are we dealing
whatever.
with? Exactly.
Can you give me a gold equivalent?
Exactly. Should I get excited? And then actually we had a good meeting, and my co-sec sort of said, Amanda, that is material. You've got to release that. And I went, okay, I'm happy to do so. I'm just trying to understand what we've got.
Yeah.
So it's been a big learning curve for us. And I think, as I mentioned, like my team, you've got to be comfortable to say, I don't know. And so in the antimony space, initially we were like, we don't know.
Is it going to be a problem?
Exactly. That's right. Is it going to ruin our gold story or complement it? So we're pretty comfortable now, like after a lot of work, a lot of digging in existing databases, a lot of reassaying of old pulps.
Okay.
And by that I mean, like, when you drill a hole, you get the pulp. What's left over from the lab, you normally store that on site for a while.
Right.
And so
Like your record keeping.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. We found a lot of old pulps. And these were pulps from holes that had been drilled and assayed only for gold.
Wow.
So we sent them back to the lab. And
That
said,
saves
"Right,
a lot of work.
exactly. We probably saved more than $2 million of drilling by spending $300,000 on reassaying pulps.
Yeah, sure.
And we pulled together quite a remarkable antimony resource. Like, we've got 60,000 tonnes of contained metal. To put that in perspective, I think the only other open pittable resource is the Perpetua one I mentioned in the US that's planning to come into development. I think that's 118,000 tonnes.
Okay.
In Australia, the only largest deposit is Hillgrove.
Hillgrove over east?
Levoto's Hillgrove,
Yeah,
so they've
sure.
got 93,000 tonnes. What we like about our deposit is, pardon me, we've got to the 60,000 tonne mark as an independent resource without having drilled a single hole targeting antimony.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
truly is amazing. And I guess that leads me on to my next question. Are you obviously, now that you've got that resource, you're going to
Go hard?
go hard with a targeted approach to
Yeah.
discovering more antimony?
Yeah, exactly. So we are finishing a drilling program now that was planned in February. It's a lot of gold drilling, but also some antimony drilling. So, I mean, it's not material. I can talk about drilling. We are drilling basically into high-grade and gold and antimony targets now with the diamond rig. And we're extremely excited to be doing that. Like 2 weeks ago, we put out the resource. Now we're drilling. And moving forward, we will be focusing on, there's like a high-grade antimony part to the resource. It's not yet part of the model.
No.
We simply didn't have enough drill holes into it. But we will be drilling into that with a view to actually isolating that next time and saying, look, not only do we have 60,000 tonnes, hey, we've got a high-grade part that is all open pittable, that has a grade of greater than X or Y,
Yes.
and we've just added this to the resource. So, yeah, I guess I should say we are a gold company, and I keep stressing
With
that.
a nice little side story.
Exactly. It's like, whatever you like to call it, a free kick, icing on the cake. It's a nice side story that right now we love and will pursue hard, but it won't detract from who we are as fundamentally a gold company with a solid gold resource.
Well, 1.4 million ounces, that's great. And do you expect, I guess, over the next 12 to 18 months, Amanda, what do you see Warriedar going through and carrying on with to build that resource up?
Yeah, so that's actually what we've been focused on, in particular the last week, having a lot of discussions around that. Like, do we need to modify our strategy? And our strategy is solid. It's worked for us, and we're sticking to it. So our strategy is threefold: growing Ricardo, which is the largest deposit where we have most gold and antimony. That will become a key focus of drilling programs throughout the rest of the year. But also in parallel with that at Ricardo, we've got to push the MET, we've got to push the engineering, the studies to understand the resource and what the trade-off studies, what does it look like going forward? How do we process it? How much money can we make? What do we need to do? Where do we drill to add to it? So a solid progression of the Ricardo story is number one.
Okay.
Number two, in the parts of the strategy, we have 5 other deposits within that key golden corridor that I always talk about, and they're exciting. Like, they lack drilling. They're open at depth. Some of them are good grade, like Windinwell and M1. They have a grade of 2.9 with high grade cores, open at depth, absolutely ripe for further drilling.
Definitely exciting times. Yeah.
Definitely. And then also, as I mentioned, we own the whole central greenstone. What I'd like to do is discover, let's say, 3 or 4 new gold deposits along that shear to have that, 10 plus year mine life. Like, everyone wants 150,000 ounces per year that you can see happening for 10 years. So that's our, and we don't have to get there all at once. We also don't have to discover every deposit within the project prior to mining, but we need to progress each stage of the strategy and just show that we can get to where we need to be.
Awesome. That's great, Amanda. That's given us a great insight both into your own career but also into Warriedar Resources. So thank you very much. Have you got a final word for our subscribers out there about maybe an up-and-coming graduate geophysicist or people that want to get into the mining industry and what you'd like to share with maybe investors and shareholders?
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually volunteered at it was like a career expo last week, and it was amazing. There were some fantastic high school kids who came in, and they had a real curiosity about them. They didn't know anything about it. Was actually the geophysics sort of booth. And I would say the mining industry is a fantastic industry to work in particular exploration. You're on a big treasure hunt. You're often working with fantastic people. You're all incentivised to go out and explore. So I always keep that in the front of my mind. And running Warriedar to me is the perfect example of being able to do that. Like, we have a solid resource that is growing, but we also have the opportunity to discover new deposits. So anyone who's thinking about a career in exploration, do it. It's a fantastic way to spend your time.
I'm a little bit envious, actually, because underneath I really wanted to be a geologist when I grew up. It's never too late, I've been told.
It's never too late. That's it.
But look, thank you so much for a great interview, Amanda. We've loved having you on the Gold Room podcast. We ask our subscribers to subscribe to the Gold Room podcast. Get on there, give us some feedback, and thanks very much for watching. Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Hilly. Fabulous.
Cheers.